Subrakant Panda, President of FICCI, is also the Managing Director of Indian Metals and Ferroalloys Limited. Mr. Panda, for you, what's the big message there? We're seeing a huge focus on capex. Corporates are saying this is good news, but do you think this will be enough to create the kind of growth that India needs?
Good evening. I think the budget is a very balanced and progressive budget, which gives primacy to growth. And in fact, if you look at it from a corporate India perspective, the common refrain heading into the budget presentation was that it needs to be growth-oriented. And I believe that is precisely what the finance minister has delivered with the largest ever allocation for capital expenditure, which, as your colleague just mentioned, is up by 33% to 10 lakh crores, representing 3.3% of GDP. But actually, if you factor in the grant and aid to states, then that number further goes up to 13.7 lakh crores or 4.5% of GDP. So I think that's substantial. And the interesting thing about capital expenditure is that it has a knock-on effect across myriad sectors of the economy, and it will help crowd in private sector capex, which has been picking up, but will now, I believe, gather more momentum going ahead. What is also important, I think, is the inclusive aspect of the budget, in the sense that a lot has been done for MSMEs with a 9,000 crore allocation to the revamped credit guarantee scheme, which will translate into about 2 lakh crores of credit for MSMEs in the country at a reduced rate of about 1%. So I think all of these are substantive steps, but I just want to dwell on one more aspect, which is the ease of doing business. And there, I think giving legislative sanctity to the use of PAN as a common business identifier, along with a unified filing portal, I think are significant steps which will do a lot to enhance the ease of doing business in the country.
Right. It's always interesting, Mr. Panda, that corporates always give a budget full marks. But tell me, out of the 5 budgets that Nirmala Sitharaman has presented so far, what would you say of this one? Do you think it is her most ambitious so far? Do you think it is achievable?
I think it is certainly an impactful budget, and it's something. I think it was, in terms of time spent on the budget speech, perhaps one of the shortest, if I'm not mistaken. But it's something which will have a significant impact, and certainly achievable, because one of the hallmarks of this budget is the credibility aspect of it. And what I mean by that is, the revenue assumptions are reasonable. They are not aggressive in that extent. We've already seen revenue buoyancy in the current fiscal as well. And that apart, I think the government's commitment to stick to the fiscal deficit target of 6.4% for the current financial year, ongoing financial year, and further come down to 5.9% for FY24, and a reiteration of the commitment of the glide path to come down below 4.5% by FY26, I think augurs very well. It is that balance between the growth priorities as well as a fiscal consolidation glide path which lends credibility to this entire exercise, as is the fact that a number of 11.8 lakh crores borrowing from the market is something which is manageable and will not come in the way of private sector borrowing to fund their own expansion plans.